7 NBA players who are only known for one specific moment. Thousands of players have played in the NBA, and only about a handful of them are fortunate enough to go down as an all-time great player. And as for the rest of the players, well, they are mostly just forgotten about. That is unless they've experienced a moment that is so crazy that just that alone will make them be remembered and have their names attached to it forever. And not all of them are positive. Let's get into the video. Tyronn Lue. First up is Ty Lue. He is commonly known as the head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers, and his name has gotten a lot of exposure across the world because he's made 2 straight finals appearances as Cleveland's head coach. And also, having LeBron James on your team certainly creates a brighter spotlight and extra publicity around your franchise. But back when Ty Lue was a player, his name hardly came out of anybody's mouth. He was a below average NBA player, and there was absolutely no reason to even talk about him amongst your friends. And yeah, I know he was a part of those Lakers championship teams back in the early 2000s, but we all know the players that really contributed to those championships for LA. But in Game 1 of the 2001 NBA Finals, in the final minute of overtime, Ty Lue finally had his career-defining moment, but unfortunately, that moment involved his butt on the ground. And that's when one of Allen Iverson's most iconic moments was born. Iverson drove baseline, crossed back between his legs, rose up, and drilled a fadeaway jump shot. This caused Tyronn Lue to fall to the ground, and like a total OG, Iverson stepped over Tyronn Lue. And to this day, that has been referred to as one of the most disrespectful but also savage moments of all time. And ever since that game, fans and players only recognize Ty Lue as the guy who got stepped over. Even though Ty Lue has bounced back pretty nicely because of his successful coaching career, unfortunately, his playing career is only summed up in this very moment. Craig Ehlo. Craig Ehlo played 15 seasons in the NBA, and he spent most of those seasons with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Ehlo was originally brought in by the Cavs as a replacement for Mark Price when Price went down with an injury. But Craig Ehlo is best remembered as being the victim of one of MJ's best performances of all time. It was May 7th, 1989, and Chicago at the time was actually considered an underdog in this first round playoff series. But in the final possession of the game, Ehlo was defending Jordan on the inbounds play and only had one job, and that was to stop Jordan from hitting the game winner. But we all know that's easier said than done. But what happened next broke all the hearts in the city of Cleveland, but none more than Ehlo himself, because he had the best seat in the house as Jordan hit the series clinching shot right over him. And the fact that the game commentator featured Ehlo's name during the play definitely drew more attention as to whose fault it was for losing the game.
Here's Michael at the foul line, a shot on Ehlo, good! The Bulls win! They win!
Ever since that shot, Craig Ehlo was very annoyed by everyone talking about the play, but eventually he embraced it, saying, "The first 4 or 5 years after it happened, I was like, enough, let's move on. And I got tired of seeing it and people saying it. But after a while, I realized it was a situation every athlete wants to be in. My signature moment. I just decided, okay, let me just ride this pony." So it's obvious that this shot has had an extreme negative effect on Ehlo's career. And personally, this moment is the only reason why I even know of Craig Ehlo's name. John Lucas. John Lucas went undrafted in the 2005 NBA draft, but eventually found his way into the league. Throughout his career, he's played on several overseas teams and D-League teams, as well as a couple of NBA teams. He had a very quiet career for most of his playing time, but in 2012, his name finally made headlines on ESPN, but for all the wrong reasons. It was a game in early 2012, the Bulls were facing the Miami Heat. D-Wade was dribbling at the top of the key and spotted LeBron James cutting to the basket, and before Lucas could even react, he found himself completely below James's body, as if they were playing a game of leapfrog. It was an incredible play on James's behalf, and I'm very surprised that people don't talk about it more often. But when the play does get brought up, it's usually when John Lucas gets spotted in Miami. Lucas has reportedly stated that every time he lands in Miami and gets off the plane, he can hear all the Heat fans saying, "Hey, that's the dude LeBron jumped over." But he said that he doesn't really mind it at all. Chris Childs. I don't blame you if you've never heard of Chris Childs, but for the people who have heard of him, then it's probably from the fight he had with Kobe Bryant. It was April 2nd, 2000. Chris Childs was playing tight defense all game against young Kobe, and Chris Childs said that Kobe would throw elbows at him above the shoulders every time he came off screens, and this frustrated Chris Childs all game. So he told Kobe there's gonna be a problem next time he throws an elbow, and the next thing you know, Kobe literally swings an elbow near his face, and obviously this was the last straw for Chris, and he threw a quick 2-punch combo, both of them hitting Kobe in the neck area. Then the referees would intervene and separated the two. Okay, Chris Childs may have won the fight, but obviously Kobe got the last laugh because he ended up having one of the best careers of all time. And all Chris Childs is really known for is the fight he had with Kobe. Byron Russell. We've all seen the last shot MJ took at the end of Game 6 of the 1998 NBA Finals to seal his 6th championship countless amount of times. And do you see that man guarding him right there? Yes, the guy who gets crossed by MJ before that iconic game winner. Well, that's Byron Russell. And he will always be best remembered for the guy who guarded Michael Jordan during the last possession of Game 6. Okay, let's rewind the clock 4 years before this play. When Jordan retired for the first time in 1994, Jordan said that Byron Russell would constantly ask him, "Why did you quit? You know I could have guarded you." MJ just laughed it off and continued to enjoy his retirement. And at this point, Jordan said that he had no thoughts of coming back and playing the game of basketball ever again. But thank God he did, because he would accomplish another three-peat. Now fast forward to the last championship of his second three-peat. And what do you know? The very same guy who said he can guard him 4 years previously was standing right in front of him. And we all know how the story ends. Byron Russell would go on to say that MJ pushed off him during that play, and that the referees should have called that foul on MJ. But he's just a little salty because his career will only be remembered as another victim of MJ's greatness. Frederic Weiss. Frederic Weiss was drafted by the New York Knicks in 1999, but would spend most of his career overseas. And at the Sydney Olympics in the year 2000, Frederic's life would change forever. During a game between the US and France, the French team thought they had claimed possession with the ball, but all of a sudden, Vince Carter steals the ball and ran towards his basket. And with Frederic Weiss looking like a deer in the headlights, he had no idea what to do but to just stand there. But I bet he wishes he just would have gotten out of the way, because Vince Carter decides not to go around Frederic, but to jump over him instead. And that dunk right there is still raved about all across the globe. Frederic Weiss's career was never the same after that, and says that very night he learned people can fly. Donyell Marshall. Donyell Marshall played 15 seasons in the league, playing for a total of 8 teams altogether. But his most memorable night of his career was easily on March 13th, 2005, when he was with the Toronto Raptors. It was a game against the 76ers, and Marshall exploded in that game, making a grand total of 12 three-pointers, tying Kobe Bryant's record for the most three-point field goals made in one game. That record would hold on for many years, until Steph broke it last year, only breaking the record by one more three. Now if he is holding a record that only Steph, Kobe, and himself can say they've done, then that is easily the one and only highlight of his career. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments down below if there's anybody else I missed that is basically only known for one specific moment. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.